Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Well, back in March, I did a review of the MAVIC Pro and the MAVIC Air cameras, and I basically said that there's really no difference between these two cameras. Most people would never tell them apart. They both look great. Now, if you haven't seen that comparison review, I'll put a link in the description below. Basically, my end point of that whole comparison was there's no night and day difference between the cameras on these two drones. Certainly, the MAVIC Air does have a higher bitrate in recording video, but then again, the MAVIC Pro has a better camera lens and can record sharper video. In the end, the quality all looks pretty much the same to the average user. Now, I received many requests to perform the same test again, but this time outdoors, because that test I conducted was indoors. Well, I conducted the test as anybody would conduct a test for an actual camera. So since these are drones, people said, hey, you got to try them outdoors because they're outdoor cameras. Well, there's a little bit of truth to that, but it should give the same results. So I can't do a test outdoors where you fly them. That's just ridiculous. And any drone reviewer that flies the drones and does a camera test, they're going to end up with results that are never going to be accurate. You actually have to put the drones outdoors on a stable platform, point them in the exact same direction, in the exact same lighting, and take video or photos at pretty much the same time. And that's exactly what I did in this video test that you're about to see. Everything was done on a stable platform, and the results speak for themselves. So here we go. First up is the MAVIC Air. The MAVIC Air's camera settings are shown in the top left corner of the screen. You can see here that the MAVIC Air shutter speed was at 1/1200 of a second due to the bright sun. The image is very pleasing, and if you look at the contrast in the trees and the shadows on the driveway and on the garage doors across the street, everything looks very well exposed. But there is a problem, as you can see here. When I compare the JPEG and the DNG photos, look at the outer edges. They seem stretched or compressed. This means that the lens of the MAVIC Air actually causes distortion on the outer edges, but it's corrected in the JPEG photo, but not in the DNG RAW photo. And here we have a side-by-side comparison of the JPEG and DNG photos. You can see that the JPEG photo on the left looks good when zoomed out and also looks really good when zoomed in, which means that the JPEG compression is done very well. Next up is the MAVIC Pro. Check out the camera settings in the upper left of your screen, and you'll see that the MAVIC Pro has a very fast lens with a low aperture, which means it lets in more light so that the shutter has to work faster. Notice the shadows and the contrast in this image. There is zero noise in the image and everything looks really pleasing. When the JPEG and DNG images are compared, you see that unlike the MAVIC Air, there is no lens distortion, so both images match up perfectly. And when the JPEG and DNG images are placed side by side, both look great. When zoomed in, you can see that the JPEG photo on the left is very sharp and has no artifacts, which means again that the DJI image compression is done very well. And now for the final part of test number 1, we're going to place the MAVIC Air JPEG and the MAVIC Pro JPEG side by side. You can see that both photos look great, with the smallest of differences. Since the MAVIC Pro has the sharper lens, the image on the right is slightly sharper. Overall, both images are pleasing to the eye and colors are almost identical, with the MAVIC Pro being slightly warmer than that of the MAVIC Air. Test number 2. This is where we're going to compare the video quality during the day. For this test, I set both cameras to the same setting. First up is the MAVIC Air. Nothing wrong with this image. Colors and contrast look great. Next up is the MAVIC Pro. Again, the image looks great. There is zero noise in any of the shadows. Here is a side-by-side comparison of both videos. They both look great and the colors are almost identical. Even though the white balance was set the same, I do find that the MAVIC Pro's image does look a touch warmer. Now we take that overall image and zoom into the left side, and we see that there's no difference in contrast and shadows between both cameras. In addition, the MAVIC Pro on the right has a slightly sharper image. Finally, as we zoom into the right side of the overall image, we see that again, everything looks pretty much identical between the two cameras. Test number 3. This is our low light photo test. First up is the MAVIC Air. This is the JPEG image. You can see that the MAVIC Air shutter remained open for a full 1.3 seconds and took a very nicely lit image. What is surprising is that even when I zoom into the night sky, the noise is actually acceptable considering the amount of time the shutter was open. It would seem that the DJI noise reduction built into the MAVIC Air does a pretty good job. And when we look at the DNG file with no enhancements, the image is still pretty good. Now here again, when we compare the JPEG and the DNG files, you can again see the edge distortion, compression, and expansion between the two images. Now, oddly enough, when I took the same image with the MAVIC Pro, the camera left the shutter open for only 1/5 of a second. The result is an image which is pretty much exactly what the darkness looked like, and the colors are actually correct. Look at the blue garage door, this is how it should look. However, this is a JPEG image, and the noise on the tree and the noise in the sky is not pleasing and has artifacts in it. The DNG image is much better. And here again, we see that when we match up a JPEG image and a DNG image, both taken on the MAVIC Pro, they match up nicely. No camera distortion whatsoever. Next, we have a side-by-side comparison of the nighttime JPEG images. In my opinion, the colors on the MAVIC Pro are correct. However, the noise reduction on the MAVIC Air image makes everything look much better. Test number 4. This is where we're going to compare video low light performance. First up is the MAVIC Air. Now the MAVIC Air does not have the large aperture that the MAVIC Pro has, so even at ISO 3200, only so much light can get into the sensor on the MAVIC Air. This is why the MAVIC Air will leave the shutter open longer when you take photos, but it can't do that when you take video, so the image is rather dark. Now the MAVIC Pro has an aperture that lets in more light, so at ISO 3200 the image will be a bit brighter, revealing more detail. Notice you can make out more of my figure and flashlight as I'm walking up the driveway. And here are both videos compared side by side. You can see that the MAVIC Pro video is slightly brighter. So the takeaway from nighttime photos or video is that both drones require plenty of light to film, and they're not really that good at it. Sure, they're good for home videos or YouTube videos, but you'd never use these cameras in low light for professional videos. Alright, so there you have it. There really are no major camera differences between these two drones. They're really good for what they are. You want to save some dollars? Buy the MAVIC Air. You want a longer flight time and flight range? Get the MAVIC Pro. Either case, your images are going to look the same in the end. The benefit of the MAVIC Air is it's going to be around for another year. The MAVIC Pro, however, probably going to be replaced this year with the MAVIC Pro 2. And that's the end of this here segment for the camera test. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button so you get more great videos like this. And as always, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.